The Senate will come to order. Senators will be in their seats. The clerk will call the roll.
Alley, Baumgartner, Billinger, Blasey, Bowers, Clays, Corson, Dietrich, Dahl, Erickson, Fagg, Fascudo, Francisco, Gossage, Haley, Holland, Holscher, Kirshen, Cluse, Longbine, Masterson, McGinn, Olson, O'Shea, Peck, Peterson, Petty, Pittman, Pyle, Reddy, Reichman, Schallenberger, Steffen, Straub, Sykes, Thompson, Tyson, Ware, Warren, Wilborn.
Here. Senators and guests, please rise and give prayerful attention to the chaplain.
Shortly after becoming an American citizen, Irving Berlin wrote the earliest version of this prayer, a prayer that was set to music and went on to become a national anthem. We believe Psalm 84, verse 11, would be a good support for that prayer. For the Lord God is a sun and a shield. The Lord gives grace and glory. He withholds no good thing from those who walk with integrity. Irving Berlin wrote this: God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God, won't you bless America? God, we need you to bless America, our home, sweet home. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Please continue standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note reference to bills on pages 1 and 2 of the calendar. At this time, I'm appointing the senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger, to replace the senator from Lyon, Senator Longbine, The senator from Saline, Senator Clays, to replace the senator from Butler, Senator Fagg. The senator from Wyandotte, Senator Petty, to replace the senator from Johnson, Senator Holscher on Senate conferees as Senate conferees on Senate Bill 28. Before recessing, are there announcements? Chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and I want to thank Pastor Washington for singing for our Consulate General Robert Hall, who is here today. Consul General, would you please stand? Today we have with us Consul General Robert Hall, who was appointed as the Consul General of Ireland in Texas and the southern central United States in January of 2022. The Consul General represents the government of Ireland in Arkansas, Kansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. Robert is from Belfast and joined the Department of Foreign Affairs for Ireland in 2008 and has served in Tanzania, Timor-Leste, and Vienna. From Austin, Texas, Robert and the consulate team will work to support Irish citizens, promote Ireland and Irish interests in the region, further strengthening the links between Ireland and the southern central United States. I had the opportunity to just catch the tail end of his conversation with our Commerce / Lieutenant Governor in talking about manufacturing and the painting that goes on in Ireland for our airplanes. And so it was a great conversation, which I think hopefully can lead to more partnerships. But if my colleagues would join me and welcome Consulate General Robert Hall.
Welcome to the Senate, General Hall. Are there other announcements? Seeing none, the chair recognizes the senator from Cali, Majority Leader Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Republicans will caucus in room 548 upon recess, and I yield to the senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Senate Democrats will caucus in room 287 North upon recess. I yield back to the senator from Cowley.
Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate recess to the sound of the gavel.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion carried. The Senate is recessed. Recognizes the Majority Leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of bills on the calendar under the heading of General Orders.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion carries. The chair appoints the senator from Cloud, Senator Bowers, to preside over the Committee of the Whole.
Good afternoon. The Senate, having resolved itself in the Committee of the Whole, will now consider those items listed on the calendar under the heading of General Orders. We'll now turn our attention to House Bill 2790. The chair recognizes Senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich, to explain the bill and to adopt the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There were committee amendments, so I move we adopt the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2790 came to us from the House where it passed the Committee of the Whole 114-1. This bill would transfer the administrative registration tasks, the fee fund, and regulation authority for professional employer organizations from the Commissioner of Insurance to the Secretary of State effective January 1, 2025, without changing the substance of the PEO Registration Act. PEOs were authorized in Kansas in 2012, and at that time, the PEO Registration Act stated that the renewal registration applications, certain financial statements, and fees would be submitted to the Commissioner of Insurance. PEOs are businesses that provide and administer human resources to its customers. Services that they provide include payroll and tax filing, benefits administration compliance, risk and safety, and human resource support. This bill also provides that a fully insured welfare benefit plan offered by a PEO to its employees and covered employees is to be treated as a single employer welfare benefit plan. That term is just a generic name for a health plan. This bill was requested by a representative of the National Association of Professional Employer Organizations. The reason for the bill, which is a transfer of duties from the Insurance Department to the Secretary of State's office, are simply because the submissions that are required by the PEO Registration Act are a much better fit for the filing expertise of the Secretary of State's Business Services Division. The transfer would leverage the existing expertise of the Secretary's staff. The Secretary of State is already responsible for other filings under KSA Chapter 44, including unions and athlete agents. The proponents of this bill were the Kansas Insurance Department, the Office of the Secretary of State, and some PEO organizations in Kansas, Lever One, Syndio, and the National Association of PEOs. Everyone worked together to assure that this transfer would be coordinated and it was well received. In committee, there were no neutrals, there were no opponents, and there is no real fiscal impact here. The fee fund that's in the Commissioner of Insurance's office will just be transferred over to the Secretary of State's office. The Senate Commerce Committee amended the bill to change the required date of transfer to the Secretary of State's office to January 1, 2025. Reminder, passed the House 114-1, and I will stand for questions.
Are there questions for the Senator from Shawnee? Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Hey, Madam Chair, if the carrier would stand for some questions.
She will.
Can the carrier please, first of all, do we know about how many PEO organizations we have in the state of Kansas? And even more importantly, about how many Kansas citizens work as W-2 employees under these PEOs?
Senator from Shawnee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There were two that came to testify that are the primary PEOs that we know of in Kansas. They represent employers that have less than 50 employees. So I cannot give you a number today of how many they might represent, but it's a relatively small number.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so if the carrier could elaborate, I think she indicated that this got set up under the oversight of the Department of Insurance. My question would be is, at that time, what was the specific reasoning for the PEOs, and in particular, the benefits plan being put under the insurance department.
Senator from Shawnee.
Thank you. At the time, I believe we heard, and it was in some of our written testimony, that the original purpose in 2012 was the connection to health benefits, and so the health benefits portion of the work that they do for employers made sense under the insurance department.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
For clarification, Madam Chair, you're talking about it would help the benefits as it pertained to the PEO employees?
Senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich.
Madam Chair, could the senator from Douglas repeat that question? I'm not 100% sure I understand what you're asking me.
Senator Holland, could you repeat that?
Sure. Not to be confusing, I apologize, but I think the carrier made a comment about how it was put under the auspices of the insurance department, something about for the benefit of the employees. And what I'm trying to ascertain is, Madam Chair, is there a reason why the PEOs were put under the oversight of the insurance department, specifically as pertains to employee benefits being regulated by the insurance department?
Senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure I can clarify that anymore, other than part of the offerings of a PEO are that they can provide health benefits as a single plan employer. So that probably was the connection, I'm assuming, at that origination in 2012. They go beyond that now, if I may, Madam Chair. They do lots of payroll and not just the health benefits piece. They do HR, the hiring. They act as a co-employer under this statute.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my concern with this, and if the carrier doesn't know, that's fine. My concern would in fact be, Madam Chair, is that since there were reading through the notes in our caucus, it sounds like there was nobody from the employee side actually testifying about this bill at all. I guess what I'm concerned about with this bill is that by basically taking the insurance department, removing their oversight of the PEOs, specifically the benefit plans for their employees, I'm wondering if what we're having now is an opportunity for the PEOs to, in essence, water down benefits for their employees. So that would be one of my concerns with the bill. I'm just curious if she could address that concern.
Senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure I have a good answer for that, except that the purpose of this moving over to the Secretary of State's office was that the majority of the work that they do, the PEOs do for the employees and the employer, the small employer who hires them, is to become their HR department. So there has been no indication that there would be any dilution of any benefits or processes. It's just a smooth transfer.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Hey, Madam Chair, I appreciate the querier's answer as to my questions.
Are there additional questions from the senator from Shawnee? I see none. You may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move that when the committee rises and report House Bill 2790 favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carried. We now turn our attention to House Bill 2629. The chair recognizes the senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage, to explain the bill and to adopt the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we adopt the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. You may proceed.
House Bill 2629 came to us from the Attorney General's office. The House passed it 119-1. It just looks at the requirements and the statutory duties of the coroners. So if we look in Section 1, it eliminates the requirement that the coroners sign a non-suspicious child death form. Instead, they're only going to be signing the forms for the suspicious death. The coroner would no longer notify the board within 30 days of an investigation of the autopsy, but it does notify all of the other departments, et cetera, that would need to be notified. The statute establishes the State Deaf Child Review Board, and it amends that board. It does add an additional member, and that member is one that specializes in the practice of medicine and surgery for pediatrics. Also, it adds that part of their review is not only all child deaths in Kansas residents under age 18, but also non-residents under 18 whose death occurred while in Kansas. This section would also allow for compensation for the board, and the board should maintain records for at least 15 years. We had no problem with this in committee, Madam Chair. The only thing that we added as far as an amendment is we heard in testimony some of the parents of these young children were waiting for the autopsy, and autopsies can take up to 6 to 8 months, we were told. And so in the current statute, the coroner was required to tell the parents there will be an autopsy, and the autopsy results, you can see these here, but it doesn't say when the autopsy's done. So the coroners were saying they continually call our office, understandably, for a parent who's lost a child. So we just add an amendment that says the coroner should notify and let the parents know initially there will be an autopsy. You will be notified when the autopsy is complete and will be notified as to how to access the records. And with that, Madam Chair, I will stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage? Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions, but I want to say my thanks to the Senate Chair and the Vice Chair, Ranking, and committee members, because I think that change for notification, especially if you're making the amendment or the change that no further action by the coroner is required, and so there will not be a certificate, I think that notification was a very good thing to put in.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm asking this question only because of a specific issue we had in my district. This was up in Eudora. I believe there was a child care provider that was convicted, I believe, of a toddler dying in Eudora. And then eventually her case wound its way, and eventually I believe she was exonerated. I guess my question is that when we talk about changing notification, particularly about suspicious or, I guess what I'm wondering is that my guess is the carrier of the bill might be aware of that situation as well. I guess I'm wondering is that, do we have anybody from the legal community outside of the AG provide any testimony about this bill as far as, I just want to be sure we're not doing anything to make more opaque or make less transparent the any sort of tragic events, particularly surrounding a child that may have died under suspicious circumstances. Would the carrier have any concerns about that with this bill? And that's just the intent of my question. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the question. Madam
Senator
Chair,
from Johnson, Senator Gossage.
I apologize. The State Registrar for Vital Statistics and Director for Bureau of Epidemiology and Public Health Information, the Kansas Department of KDHE. We also heard outside of committee from law enforcement that they do get those records. And if there is a suspicious case, and I'm fully aware of the case that the senator mentions, and if there is a suspicion of a wrongful death, or they find that to be the case, it goes to all the same departments they have always have reported to.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the carrier's response.
Are there additional questions for Senator from Johnson? I see none. You may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, it report House Bill 2629 favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. We now turn our attention to House Bill 2498. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson, to explain the bill and adopt the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we adopt the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. You may proceed.
Senate Bill 2498 provides a license plate for the First City of Kansas. The funding goes to the Leavenworth County Historical Society. All the normal requirements are in it. With that, I'd stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Sedgwick? I see none. Senator, you may close.
I move when the committee rise and report House Bill 2498 favorable for passage.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carried. We now turn our attention to House Bill 2745. The chair recognizes Senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2745 provides an exemption from all occupational licensing or other credentialing fees for the spouses of active military service members who reside in Kansas or plan to reside in the state due to the assigned military station of that individual or the spouse. The bill amends a current statute, KSA 48-3406, that provides for those expedited occupational licensing, certification, and registration for military service members and for individuals who've established or intend to establish residency in Kansas. An application by a military spouse under this bill of an active service member to a licensing body would be considered complete without the submission of any fees. This would apply to a new license, an initial license, or any renewal of a license. The House passed this bill unanimously, 119-0. Proponent testimony was provided by Master Sergeant Eugene Bradley on behalf of the Adjutant General, who noted that when a state is being examined for a new mission, like the 190th Refueling Wing here at Forbes is competing to replace the old KC-135s with the new KC-46 Pegasus models, one of the primary factors considered in the grading rubric is how our state's policies affect military families and their quality of life. One of the top priorities is military spouse employment and economic opportunities. We also heard from a representative on behalf of the Wichita Chamber who introduced this bill originally in the House. Written testimony in support was presented from the Kansas Chamber and several others. We had neutral testimony from the Board of Technical Professions that changed to proponent status with a slight modification from the House. Everyone spoke to the value of employing military spouses in Kansas who bring with them a wealth of experience gained from previous positions, and bills such as this help limit the stress on those families who are moving into our state. There's some fiscal constraints that some fee-funded licensing agencies expect will occur because they are losing fee revenue from those applications for licenses. You can see those in the fiscal notes. And Madam Chair, I think I'll stand for questions now.
Are there questions for the senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich? I see none. You may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, it report House Bill 2745 favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll now turn our attention to House Bill 2481. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson, to explain the bill and adopt the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we adopt the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. You may proceed.
Senate Bill 2401 is a combination highway naming bill. It renames a portion of the Highway 96 within the city of Haven to the private first class Henry Lee Fisher Memorial Highway from the State Fair Highway. It also names a portion of 96 Highway from 56 to Nickerson Road as the 96th Infantry Division Memorial Highway. The committee added in the Senior Airman Derek Scott Memorial Bridge located in 160 in Sumner County. With that, I would stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Peterson? I see none. Senator, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move when the committee rises and report Senate Bill 2481 favorable for passage.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll now turn our attention to House Bill 2760. The chair recognizes Senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger, to explain the bill and adopt the committee report.
I move we adopt the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill, House Bill 2760, abolishes the Kansas Commissions on Veterans Affairs and creates the Kansas Office of Veteran Services. So we're just renaming it more closely to what the federal government uses in their language. The director transferred to a KOVS, and the KOVS director and the KCVAO renamed KOVSs. This establishes the executive branch and can only be a veteran appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Kansas Senate. They serve in an unclassified service, and the salary is fixed by the governor. This will require some state general funds, $18,000 for the cemeteries to redo their signage. These military cemeteries, they would have to change signage, so it's $18,000. We also incorporated into this bill House Bill 2623, which is an update to the Veterans Claim Assistance Program to include references to the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs, medical centers, and cross-accreditation requirements. Administer annual service grants to the veteran service organizations used to train veterans becoming accredited veterans claims assistance. This assists our veterans and their dependents in filing claims. These VSOs have presence in the Federal Veterans Administration regional offices, and they each have Veterans Administration medical centers in Kansas. They're in both. The training is conducted by qualified trainers and not qualified veteran claims assistance reps. And with that, I'd stand for questions.
Are there questions for the senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger? I see none. You may close, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises to and reports, it reports House Bill 2760 favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carried. The chair recognizes the majority leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carried.
The clerk will read the committee report.
On motion of Senator Alley, the Senate resolved itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the bills on the calendar under the heading of General Orders, with Senator Bowers in the chair. Recommended House Bills 2790, 2629, 2498, 2481, and 2760 be amended by the adoption of the committee reports and the bill be passed as amended. House Bill 2745 be passed.
The chair recognizes the senator from Cloud, Senator Bowers, to adopt the committee report.
I move we adopt the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion carried. Introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill number 556 by Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning the Kansas Silver Alert Plan.
This constitutes introduction of Senate Bill 556. Reports of stand at ease. We just had some bills turned in, and so we'll stand at ease until those are read in. Thank you. Senate will come to order. We'll now turn to the business reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Mr. President, your Committee on Federal and State Affairs begs leave to submit the following report. The following appointment was referred to and considered by the committee, and your committee recommends that the Senate approve and consent to such appointment. By the Governor, 4th Congressional District Member for the State Civil Service Board, Jordan Massey. Mr. President, the Committee on Judiciary recommends House Bill 2660 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion that the bill is of a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. Mr. President, the Committee on Judiciary recommends House Bill 2628 be passed. Mr. President, the Committee on Federal and State Affairs recommends House Bill 2783 be passed. Mr. President, the Committee on Judiciary recommends House Bill 2604 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion that the bill is of a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. Mr. President, the Committee on Judiciary recommends House Bill 2487 be passed. Mr. President, the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources recommends House Bill 2525 be passed. Mr. President, the Committee on Public Health and Welfare recommends House Bill 2536 be passed. Mr. President, the Committee on Public Health and Welfare recommends House Bill 2579 be passed. Mr. President, the Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance recommends Senate Bill 505 be amended and the bill be passed as amended.
Are there announcements? Chair recognizes Senator from Butler. Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My fellow senators, your presence is requested by the Order of the Shrimp. The annual shrimp peel is coming up April 1, April Fool's Day, 6 o'clock. So it's that time again to, got a great cause, great food. You can turn your auction items in from 4 to 6 on Monday, April 1, or you can get a hold of Scott Jones, Laura Lutz, or Sean Miller. But we're looking forward to a great night and fellowship and great food. So be there or be square. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other announcements? Seeing none, the chair recognizes the senator from Cali, the majority leader, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Move the Senate adjourn until 2:30 p.m. on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024.
You have heard the motion. All of those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion carries. The Senate is adjourned.